Morning. Welcome again to Morning Devotions, and thank you again so much for our time together. I have my small print Bible, so I have my little reading glasses. I'd like us to open our Bibles today to Genesis chapter 8. Genesis chapter 8, beginning with verse 1. Some beautiful truth about how things don't happen all at once when God begins to move. But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and the livestock that were with him in the ark. And he sent a wind over the earth, and the waters receded. Now the springs of the deep and the floodgates of the heaven had been closed, and the rain had stopped falling on the sky. The water receded steadily from the earth, and at the end of 150 days the water had gone down. And on the 17th day of the 7th month the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. The waters continued to recede until the 10th month, and on the first day of the 10th month the tops of the mountains became visible. After 40 days, Noah opened the window he had made in the ark and sent out the raven. It kept flying back and forth until the water had dried up from the earth. Then he sent out a dove to see if the water had receded from the surface of the ground. But the dove could find no place to set its feet because there was water all over the face of the earth. So it returned to Noah in the ark. He reached out his hand and took the dove and brought it back into the ark, and he waited 7 more days and sent out the dove from the ark. When the dove returned to him in the evening, there in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. Then Noah knew that the water had receded from the earth. He waited 7 more days and sent the dove out again, but this time it did not return. Many times in counseling, I sit down and I talk with you about the fact that we don't get in trouble all at once. And even when God begins to move in our lives, we don't get out of trouble all at once. Let me say that again. Even when God begins to move in our lives, we don't get out of trouble all at once. Now I want you to notice in chapter 8, verse 1, God remembered Noah. God began to move on Noah's behalf. And we see change began as a process. God sent the wind. God closed the springs of the deep. God stopped the rain. And then the water receded as a process over time. There was consistent, steady progress, but it still took time to recede. Now, brothers and sisters, some of you have gotten in horrible financial trouble, and God has begun to move on your behalf. Please understand. Yes, God has remembered you. Your offering has come up as a memorial before Him, and God has begun to move. First thing that has happened is you stopped going deeper in debt. Next thing that happened, God began to move on your behalf and finances began to come in. But that hole didn't get filled up all at once. It happens over a process of time. Some of you, when it comes to your healing, you must remember there's a difference between an instantaneous miracle and lay hands on the sick and the sick shall recover. There's a process. So brothers and sisters, just because you don't see things happen instantly in your life, please don't think that God is not working. Remember the lessons of Noah, this righteous man that God showed favor to. One of the great miracles of the Bible, the great miracle of judgment where He wiped out all of mankind because of their wickedness. But He spared one righteous man. Remember the lesson that is learned. Recovery is a process.